By the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware, homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Welcome, everyone, to St. Petersburg, Florida, the inside Tropicana Field. Game one of a three-game set, 3 games until the All-Star break, and the All-Star game being played at Target Field in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Chris Archer, the right-hander. This is the starting lineup that he'll see. The Blue Jays 1-6 during this 10-game road trip. And Munenori Kawasaki, since his recall, hitting .292. And he has scored 12 runs. And how about the bat of Melky Cabrera? He has been hot. Hits in 6 of 7 games during this road trip. And as I mentioned, that right-hander on the hill for the Tampa Bay Rays, Tabby, is the youngster Chris Archer.
What an arm and what a future that this young man has right here. 19th start of the season. He's 5-5 with a .316 earned run average. He's coming off a dominant performance against the Detroit Tigers. 8 1/3 innings versus the Tigers. He won that ball game, his 5th of the season. He has worked 7+ innings in 3 straight starts. He has been very good. They're stretching him out a little bit longer for his career. He's 2-0 versus the Blue Jays. He's already beaten them 1 time this year with an ERA just over 2.
Behind him, out left, Geyer. Jennings patrols center field, and Zobrist, who had been playing shortstop, moved out to right field. The reason why Yunel Escobar is back. But first, over at third, the Gold Glove of Longoria. There you see Escobar on the right side, Forsythe and Loney for the Rays. And Archer, and then Jose Molina, a late addition. Ryan Hennigan was scratched because of a sore oblique. Escobar, 8 errors. The shortstop is back.
Yeah, he just came off the disabled list today, 15-day DL. He missed the minimum of 15 games. He's got 8 errors this year. He committed 7 all of last season in 610 chances, 8 this year in half those chances already. So they're going to have to get some better defense from Escobar.
Archer, the right-hander, you mentioned that he worked 8 1/3 against Detroit in his last outing last Saturday. That was a season best, as Jose Reyes, the switch hitter, stands in, hitting .269, 7 home runs, and 26 RBIs. Here on this Friday night, great to be back in the booth with you, Tabby, as the first pitch is in there for a strike.
Blue Jays had a tough game to swallow on Sunday on the off day. Forgot about baseball. Let's see if you can come back here against this series before the All-Star break and win this series versus the Rays.
Todd Titchener calling the balls and strikes. Mike Everett at first. Shauna Barber at second, and Tim Timmons over at third base. Our umpire behind home plate is Todd Titchener. Down in the count, 0-2. The right-hander Archer gets the sign from Molina. And here is the 0-2, trying to work that outside edge. And Reyes does a good job of fouling it off and staying alive.
They need his bat at the top of the lineup. You can see he's starting to come around. Last 3 games, hitting .500. Beginning of this trip, especially in Oakland, had a little bit of a loop in his swing, hit a lot of balls in the air, a lot of pop-ups. He's starting to hit those line drives again.
Pitch misses down and in for the first ball and out of the zone, and it's 1-2. Jennings in center field will shade Reyes toward the gap in left center field. And the right fielder Zobrist inching over as well toward right center field. He went around. Reyes trying to hold his swing, was unable to do so. Breaking the ball down and in. And he strikes out, victim number 1.
Well, you have to be wary of his fastball because he's got one of the best arms in baseball. This is a minimum of 100 innings last year. The fastball velocity, Chris Archer, almost 95 miles an hour, averaging the best in the American League, ahead of Richards, Verlander, and Price. Now, when he throws that hard and he's so silky smooth out on that mound and he drops that breaking ball, what I think is his best pitch, he can be awfully tough.
Kawasaki, and that one misses just off the outside edge. Archer throws fastball or a slider. How about this? 96.7% of the time. It's a higher percentage than any other qualified pitcher that throws any two pitches. So you know what you're going to see. That fastball or the slider, and that fastball's got a lot of pop to it, and he can get up above 95.
He's going to be challenging with that heater. There's his numbers against the Blue Jays this year. That's why it's so tough to hit home runs against this kid.
The 2-0. And it's a strike.
You know, the one thing that they're trying to do with him is to speed him up just a little bit. It just takes too much time in between pitches, according to the Rays, that they want to quicken the pace up just a little bit so those fielders stay engaged.
A strike to Kawasaki, 2-2. Third baseman Longoria, who is in on the turf now, backs up at third.
Such a fluid delivery that he has, where that fastball, you've heard the term exploding fastball. Well, he's got it.
How about that? Nasty. Reyes goes down swinging, and Kawasaki is his second out. Handcuffed there.
Looked like he was surprised on the breaking ball. He's trying to slash it the other way. He came right after it. That looked like a slider for the second out.
Two out here, top of the first inning. And Melky Cabrera is going to settle into the batter's box, hitting .301. And that exploding fastball is low. 11 home runs and 44 RBIs. Archer. Good stuff right there on the inside.
Well, he's putting the fastball in a better spot lately also. Earlier in the season, when he did not have a very good record or good numbers, the fastball, he wasn't locating it. It was up. Now he's starting to pound in the lower part of that strike zone, and his numbers have been much better.
The 1-1. And a fastball, 95 miles an hour. And one of the things, and you're seeing it here, his rhythm is picked up. We were talking to the bench coach Dave Martinez about it, and he's got a slow pace about it, but they've been trying to get him to work quicker. See ya. Third strike called. Reyes strikes out swinging. Kawasaki down on swings. Cabrera looks at the third strike call. Lineup, and the batting order for the Tampa Bay Rays. Desmond Jennings, career versus Burley, 389, 7 of 18 against the veteran left-hander, and John Rodriguez, a designated hitter, He has been hot over the last 7 games, hitting better than 400 with a home run and 5 RBIs.
Got to keep him in the lineup against Mark Burley. The left-hander started the season 10-1, and he's winless in his last 6 starts, going 0-5, but his ERA has been very good. He just doesn't get any runs to work with. For his career, 10-5 in 24 games versus the Rays, including that 2009 perfect game in Chicago.
And the veteran lefty, first pitch is fouled off. Desmond Jennings hitting .243, 8 home runs and 24 RBIs. We noted his success against Burley. We mentioned this in the open about how Mark Burley just hasn't received any run support. Just 4 runs over his last 5 losses. Of course, he started the season 10-1 and has gone 0-5 over his last 6 starts.
But has pitched well. He's pitched ahead. He's thrown a lot of quality strikes. He's just not getting the runs that he got to work with earlier in the season. He says, excuse me, Matt, he says he's just going to do his thing. Something that he has done his whole career.
Absolutely. You bank on it, right? 200+ innings and 10+ wins. He's already there. He's had only 1 losing season. Through the right side past the diving Kawasaki. And Jennings is aboard with a single into right field. They had him shaded toward the bag at second base, and Jennings did a good job of finding that hole through the right side.
Well, when you got a sinker ball pitcher like Burley, he's going to give up his share of ground balls. That time Jennings did a good job of staying on that ball away, not trying to pull it, just punch it the other way. So you got some speed at first base after that leadoff hit.
So here is Ben Zobrist, and his name has been bounced around quite a bit as you think about the trade deadline that is coming up here at the end of the month. But with the way that the Rays are playing,
it's not happening.
Yeah,
there's no way. This guy is too valuable of a player to this team, the city, this organization. They're going to make a run for it. And David Price is going to be in the middle of it. This guy's going to be in the middle of it. I'm not seeing that. I'm not buying it that they're going to trade him.
Well, you look at the AL East, and I think everybody agrees top to bottom that there is certainly some games to be gotten. And if you're Tampa, you go back to the early portion of the season, you struggled mightily. You talked to him, nothing was going right. It's almost, you get the sense it's the reverse, right, of the Jays and the Rays at the time period, right? All those little things that were happening for the Jays early on weren't for the Rays, and now all of a sudden it's reverse. Over the last 28 games, the Rays are 18-10.
Jays were winning, Rays were losing. Now the Jays are struggling to play good baseball, and the Rays have really made up a lot of ground.
The 2-1 roped into right field. Back-to-back singles here to lead off the bottom half of the first inning. Jennings goes the other way, and Zobrist follows suit.
Well, they're smart hitters, these Tampa Bay Rays hitters. They know what Burley is going to do. They're going to stay away from him, and he just jumped it right in front of Reimold for a base hit.
Runners at first and second base, nobody out here in the bottom of inning number 1. And the lefty Burley, we'll see Brandon Guyer. Guyer, 262, looking to bunt, lays it down third base side, scooped up by Burley, and no play. Bases are loaded.
Well, here's what happened on that play right there. Mark Burley, the Gold Glove pitcher, had the ball and had thoughts of going over to third. Watch where when he picks the ball up, he looks at third, thinks he has a shot. But by that time, it's too late. That's where the catcher's got to come out and be the eyes of the pitcher and tell him where to throw that baseball. right away. When you've got speed on the bases, it's a perfect time to bunt right there by Geyer. Lay the bunt down, let the guys who've got the speed get themselves into scoring position, and that little hesitation cost them.
Evan Longoria, the hitter, and he swings through that first offering, hitting .262, 11 home runs and 42 RBIs. Double play depth through the middle. Bautista off the bag over at the first base. And this one skied in the air to shallow right center field, and coming over is Monmouth. And the runner from third will tag, and runners at first and third as the throw is cut off. And the first run is on the board for Tampa Bay.
Good situational hitting by Longoria. He was out here earlier working on that same thing, trying to stay inside the ball and get the ball into the outfield. He'll pick up his 43rd RBI on the sacrifice fly, and Zobrist tags up alertly, and now he's at third base with less than 2 outs.
Jennings scores. Zobrist over at third. Geyer at first base. James Loney, 277, 5 home runs and 44 runs driven in. Burley from the stretch, and the pitch is down and away.
James Loney has become a very good hitter over the last couple of years because he's hitting left-handers better, staying inside the ball and hitting the ball the other way. That's where the defense plays him, the other way.
Checking in over at first base, and Geyer is back. Once again, chased back to the bag.
Well, Geyer is a steal attempt threat right here, 3 for 4 this season. And Loney, if you get the ball on the ground, you can get a double play and get out of this inning. He leads this club by grounding into 11 double plays already this season. So if Burley executes, he'll be fine.
In on the hands, fisted toward Reyes, steps on the bag, whips it over to first base. 6 unassisted, 3 double play, and they get out of the inning, and Tabby had it right. 1 run on the board for the Rays, and we head now to the top of the second.
I think it has to do with his fastball. You can see the average and the slugging percentage versus Archer in his first 8 as opposed to his last 10 starts. This is all against the fastball. First 8, they're hitting 301. It's down to 221. Slugging percentage, 369. That's all the way down to 292. He's the ERA leader since May the 12th. And using that fastball, you can see what he's done. First inning, he threw 2 breaking balls. Threw 15 total pitches, threw 2 breaking balls, and struck out the side. So his fastball's been much better. He's been throwing it in a better place.
As Joe Maddon said, here's the monster in the middle of the lineup for the Blue Jays. And talking about the scoring woes prior to the start of the game and the lack of productivity. And he said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Easy now.
They were talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and the problems that they have had offensively.
Yeah.
And Joe Maddon wanted to correct the reporter who was talking to him, and he called Jose Bautista. They still have the monster in the middle.
Jose Bautista, 292, 17 home runs and 52 RBIs. And that fastball rides up and in, and Bautista backs off of the plate.
Hey, Joe knows that Laurie's missing and Lind and Encarnacion, but there's still some really good hitters. And he named Jose, and he named Jose Reyes and Melky Cabrera. They still have got some guys, he says, in their lineup who can hurt you.
There's that slider. 2-2, and there is Dan Johnson. His contract, bought from AAA Buffalo, arrived today, and of course he is certainly well aware of Tampa Bay. He spent time with the Rays, and in fact Joe Maddon said he has a special place in the Rays lore for what he was able to produce and to provide a special home run. The full count, 3-2 offering. Got him looking. 4 up, 4 down, all strikes. All strikeouts.
All on fastballs also. He got Reyes and Kawasaki swinging. Cabrera to end the third with a fastball, and Jose thinks this one is low. But watch this fastball explode to home plate. Jose Molina does a great job of framing that ball also. Not a lot of movement by the catcher.
Leonard Navarro, 262, 5 home runs, 36 RBIs, and a fastball strike. Archer with 4 strikeouts in each of his last 2 games, 15 in the third innings already with 4 tonight. And I mentioned this earlier, there's certainly more of a rhythm to it. You could tell he's feeling good tonight, and the youngster is dealing. Navarro right into left field, and Geyer is there.
Well, I like the idea that he's pitching off of his fastball. He had starts against him earlier this year where he was trying to fool people and trick people early in the count. He's getting ahead with that fastball. And Joe Maddon was talking about it the other day about the fastball. Hey, you can't just keep pumping fastballs in there. You have to locate them, and he's doing a good job of that.
Here is Nolan Reimold in his 4th game for the Blue Jays, hitting .364 and 3 runs driven in, and swinging at that first pitch and fouls it off to the right side.
Just so happy, Matt, to have a chance here with the Blue Jays and a chance to play in the big leagues here. You can see what he's done over his last 3 games. Blue Jays giving him a chance, and he's going to play every day and producing for him.
0-2 now. Top of the 2nd inning. Matt Devlin, Pat Tabler, glad to have you along here on Sportsnet. And 5 up, 5 down thus far for Archer. And the right-hander looks in, has the signs, and he brings the 0-2. Swung on and missed. He has seen 6 Jays. He has struck out 5. Down and away, and Reimold swings right over top of it. To the bottom of the 2nd we go. 20. The Blue Jays against the Rangers, 107 first pitch. First 20,000 fans will receive a Blue Jays Tumbler Cup. Go to BlueJays.com for more information. Call 416-341-1234. And a pitch in there for a strike. Sean Rodriguez, the designated hitter. Yadel Escobar, the former Jay, and then Jose Molina here in the bottom of the second. 1-0 Rays. 1-1 the count now to Rodriguez, hitting .237 on the season with 8 homers and 29 runs driven in as he fouls that one down the left field line.
Sean is swinging a hotter bat of late, and that's why he has seen more playing time lately. He has always done well against the Blue Jays.
And he swings and misses that time, and Rodriguez strikes out.
Well, is he coming back down to earth? You can see what he has done over his first 12 starts this season. He's 10-1 with an outstanding earned run average of 2. And I think it has to do with the run support. You can see he got 5 runs a game in those first 12 overs. Last 6, he's winless. Still a very good earned run average, a decent whip, but he's only getting 1.5 runs a game. That is awfully tough to try and win big league games.
Absolutely, unless you're out there throwing up a lot of zeros. Escobar is the batter, as you noted. He is back off of the DL. And this one is hit in the air, and coming on is Rasmus, and he'll catch the second out. Here in the bottom of the second. Jose Molina, late addition to the starting lineup. Catcher will make his way to the batter's box, hitting just 187. You know, Burley on the road this year at 2.35 ERA. I mean, he has pitched really well.
Yeah, he has. He has spun a very good breaking ball this year. He has kept the ball in the ballpark for the most part. And he throws strikes. Lots of them.
61 in the third innings on the road. 58 hits, just 18 runs. 16 of them earned, 11 walks, and 39 strikeouts.
All with the slowest fastball average in baseball, putting up these type of numbers, and come to his 5th All-Star game next week.
Breaking ball misses, down and in. First pitch strike to 6 of the 7 batters tonight, and as you know, that is always helpful, working from the third base side of the rubber, and that one is in tight. And the count now evens up at 2-2, bottom of the second with 2 outs. Fouled off to the right side. George Hendricks like, all right, waking me up here. It's close to 7:40, and I got a line drive coming right at me.
Standing a little bit too close to that foul line.
Yeah. He's walking back now. Laced into left field. And Jose Molina is aboard, and he looks over at George Hendricks saying, hey, sorry about that line drive down the right field line. I'm going to go over to left field.
And he's like, you're on your own. I'm not telling you when the pitcher's thrown over here. Pitch on the inside part of the plate, a cutter, and that's really a pitch that Molina can handle. Jose Bautista asking, you want me to play behind him, which is probably the move right there.
Logan Forsythe. Jose Molina just a couple of paces there off of that first base bag of the catching Molina brothers. Forsythe awaits, and this one shot into right field, and it's going to go for extra bases. Chugging into third base is Molina, and standing at second with a double is Forsythe with 2 outs. All of a sudden, the bottom of the order, number 8 and number 9, come through for the Rays, and here comes Desmond Jennings.
Well, you never know where a rally's going to be started. Just a measly single by Molina, and now he's going to go all the way to third base on this hit by Forsythe. Good job by Reimold to dig that ball out of the corner. He played it perfectly. knowing where that ball is going to bounce off the wall and then getting it back quickly so another run wouldn't score.
So here is Jennings, who singled through the right side back in the bottom of the first and scored. He was happy to see the Royals leave town. He was 0 for 11 in the series against Kansas City, and as we noted, very happy to see number 56 out there for the Jays. Now 8 of 19. 8 for 19 against Burley. And did he go around? They check down the first base line, and Mike Everett says yes.
And it doesn't matter who's pitching for the Blue Jays, for Desmond Jennings, the way he has hit against them in his career. He played 46 games. He's got 10 home runs. Check swing, and he went around, says first base umpire Mike Everett, the crew chief.
Breaking ball down, and Navarro blocks it. Forsythe back at second, over at third base, Molina. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the home half of the second, and Burley on the outside corner, and Jennings fights it off to stay alive.
Well, he's so smart. He knows how to pitch to batters when he's got guys in scoring position, and that's where he has been so good this year. Limiting batters' batting average with runners in scoring position. Nobody in scoring position is 281, 174 this year. Runners in scoring position, batting average. That'll help you win a lot of games.
Well, you bear down and you go after him, and he's got that sort of mentality. That one misses there.
Looking at all the numbers that they're out there for him, his average velocity with no runners on is 83, humps up all the way to 84 with runners in scoring position.
Well, it just tells you, right? It's like real estate. Location, location, location.
Yeah, he's good with it. It doesn't matter, again, how hard you throw, but where you throw it. And he can come inside to his right-handers and try and lock them up with that cut fastball. He can use his changeup to turn it away to. I love the idea how he tried that backdoor cutter right there. Really caught Jennings by surprise and almost got him.
The 2-2. And Jennings wasn't going after that one. And the count now 3 balls, 2 strikes. And 2 out, 2 on. If Jennings can find his way on, Zobrist will make his way to the plate. Here's a 3-2. In on the hands, and he fouls it off of his front foot. And hobbling away now, taking off the helmet and crouching down.
I'll tell you what, Matt, I've done this before.
Oh, it's actually
right off your knee. Yeah, I've done that before. As soon as he went down, I saw it's a cutter, and it's coming in on your hands. You're trying to keep that ball fair, and you hit it right down off of your knee. And you stand up there and you go, now, how do you do that? That's impossible to do. Maybe down off of your ankle or off of your foot, but off of your knee, and that just shows you the depth that Burley has on that cutter.
Jennings walking it off as he moves up that first base area in foul territory, trying to shake it off, and puts that helmet back on. Joe Madden looks at him and says, "You all right?"
Well,
he says, "Yep."
With these kind of numbers right here,
yeah, I'm feeling great.
You better believe he's okay. 10 home runs, 11 doubles, and 21 RBIs, a .307 batting average in 46 games against the Blue Jays. 46 games, 10 home runs for Jennings. You better believe he's okay, especially with guys in scoring position.
Runners at second and third. Jennings now back in the batter's box after fouling that pitch off of his left knee. And the pitch is upstairs. And the first walk given up by Burley. So the bases are now loaded, and here is Ben Zobrist. who singled to right field last time up, was stranded at third base.
Right fielder, Zobrist.
Burley got Rodriguez swinging and Escobar to fly out to shallow center. Then he ran into trouble against Molina and Forsythe. A walk to Jennings, and Zobrist looks at a pitch down and away. It's 1-0.
You can tell that the Rays have a plan against Mark Burley, that they're not going to fish for that ball down and away.
Count evens, 1-1.
They do a good job of making that pitcher work.
Big time numbers with the bases loaded, 354 and 5 grand slams. Zobrist gets underneath that one. Rasmus and Reimel, and Rasmus calls him off. And that'll do it for the Rays in the bottom of the second inning. They strand 3. MLB Home Run Derby from Minneapolis. It's a star-studded field in a new format, the MLB Home Run Derby, exclusively on Sportsnet, a Monday night starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. A defensive change for the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Kiermaier takes over in center field for Desmond Jennings.
They don't lose anything defensively. This guy can really play the game of baseball. He's very fast out there. There's Jennings fouling that ball off of his knee. He's going to have to leave the game. Kiermaier's been swinging a hot bat. Plays great defense.
His natural position is center field, although he hasn't been playing it here in Tampa Bay for obvious reasons because of Jennings. And speaking of center field, here's Kobe Rasmus, just 211. Does have 12 home runs, 27 RBIs, and 6 up, 6 down thus far for the right-hander Archer. It's Rasmus, Johnson, Francisco. And Rasmus laces this one into right field. First pitch swinging. Got that pitch, a little fastball up in the zone, rips it into right field, and here is Dan Johnson, pardon me, upon his return to Tampa, and this is that home run we were talking about earlier.
Game number 162 of the 2011 series. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth inning, just ties it up, and you can see the Rays feeling pretty good about themselves. They would go on to win that on that historic home run by Evan Longoria, get themselves into the playoffs, and that seat out there is painted white because of that.
And as Joe Madden said, special place in Rays lore for Dan Johnson. He said, you know, he's interesting. He said he was always ready to go when called upon. He said he didn't need 1,000 swings to get it going. He said he'd be over there doing the crossword puzzle, get his hacks in and say, all right, I'm ready to go.
That was a pinch hit appearance September 28, 2011 off of Corey Wade that tied that game up. They had to win that. If you remember, that was probably one of the greatest days in baseball. All the great games, the excitement. They had to win that game to get into the playoff and get some help. That was the Longoria home run you saw right there. Right down the left field line, where Johnson's was right down the right field line.
Pitch down and in to Johnson.
This is his first game back in this ballpark since that game. He was with the Baltimore Orioles last year for a 4-game series that was played here, but never got off the bench, never had an appearance in the ball game. First time that he is standing in that batter's box during the regular season since that game.
And he fouls this one to back. Had his contract purchased from AAA Buffalo. They appeared in 94 games with the Bisons this season, hitting 17 home runs, leading the International League, and driving in 54. Archer with the 2-2, and the pitch is up 3-2. Rasmus over at first base, ripped a single into right field. Dan Johnson is back here in Tampa. Started his career 7th round pick, selected by Oakland, spent 3+ years there, then 3 years here in Tampa Bay. Baltimore appeared in 3 games last season, and down and in. And a walk. Let's send it to Jamie in our studio for an update.
Third baseman, number 47, Juan Francisco.
All righty.
How about the bad news that the Yankees just got with Masahiro Tanaka? 4 of their starters that started the season in that starting rotation are on the DL.
On the DL. And wow. Tanaka today actually releasing an apology to the fans. How about that?
Nothing to apologize about.
They are scuffling in their rotation as Francisco fouls it off. Runners at first and second now. Nobody out here in the top of the 3rd inning. And that rhythm that Archer had early on, now all of a sudden a little bit more time. Rasmus at second base. The shift is on for Francisco. Right side of the infield loaded up, and Archer to the plate.
Well, if he falls behind and has to come in with a fastball to Juan Francisco, that could be a good thing for the Blue Jays. He doesn't miss too many fastballs.
Johnson walking lead at first. Rasmus now stretching out a lead at second. Archer out of the stretch. The 1-1 now. And a breaking ball is a strike. And Francisco scuffling in 234, 14 home runs, 33 runs driven in, and saw his lack of productivity with the runners in scoring position.
Teams have been throwing fastballs up to him with 2 strikes, and they've also got him going after hard breaking balls out of the strike zone. It's where he has picked up the majority of his strikeouts.
Breaking ball down low and away, and Francisco chased it. Already the 6th strikeout for the right-hander Archer.
Juan Francisco, when he stays back, he can see the ball, but you can see he's out in front of that pitch. It's a breaking ball. He's out on his front foot, and it just disappears on him. Slider out of the strike zone, and you can see that back foot really starting to move. That shows you that he's out on the front side.
And searching, because at 1 and 2, you know that you're not going to see that fastball.
Yeah. You're going to get a breaking ball.
Reyes with an opportunity here in the top of the 3rd. Runners at first and second and just 1 out. Longoria even with the bag at third base. Escobar back a Rasmus at short. Now trying to tempt him back to the bag, and Archer spins back that way, and Rasmus dives back in.
That whole thing right there that we just saw, that was just an option by Escobar, that if he felt that he could jockey that runner back to the bag, if he flashes the open glove, Archer has the option to throw it. That's the open glove. If he wants to throw it, I'll be there. But if Archer doesn't want to throw it, doesn't have to. That's just to keep Colby Rasmus a step or two closer to the bag. On a base hit, they've got some good throwing arms in the outfield. Keep him a little bit closer to the bag. Keep the shutout going.
Breaking ball misses outside and high. And 2-0 now to Reyes, hitting just 200 with runners in scoring position. This road trip, it's been a struggle when you see runners at second and third if you're a J hitter. Just 5 for 47 on this road trip. Hitting 106 tonight, 0 for 2. And a fastball burns that outside edge.
Tough 2-0 pitch right there for Jose. Reyes elected to let that ball go. Archer's got good movement on his fastball tonight. I haven't seen this type of two-seam action, sinking action from Archer this year.
Hit the other way, looped into left field, and Erasmus makes a turn, but he's held up there. And the bases are loaded. Reyes with a base hit the other way, looped into left field, and coming on Geyer. And Rivera, the third base coach, holds up Rasmus.
Keep him close at the bag. Good decoy by the left fielder Geyer, coming in like he was going to catch that ball about belt high. And Rasmus can't score. Reyes has a single.
Kawasaki is the batter here. He struck out swinging on that slider back in the top of the first inning, and an opportunity for the Jays here. A tying run 90 feet away. And the top of the third inning. Archer working from the stretch here with the bases loaded. And a line drive, base hit into right field. One run is in. Zobrist fires in, cut off by Loney, and staying over at third base is Johnson. And an RBI single for Kawasaki as he turns on that one. And Melky Cabrera is the batter.
Kawasaki saying, you're not getting ahead of me this time. I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to pull the ball. You're going to play me to left field. I'm going to pull the ball to right field. Cross up your defense. RBI single. He drives in his third run of the season.
So just one out here, and a lot of fans have made the trip down from Toronto and Ontario to see the Jays in action here over this weekend. And Tampa Bay still a look of concern. Tied at 1 here in the top of the third, and Archer with a breaking ball, and Cabrera fouls it off.
Big at bat, I think, so far in this inning was the walk to Johnson. 3-2 breaking ball. He took it. Veteran move right there. First two batters reach. He had a strikeout and then a couple of singles. You turn that lineup over with guys on base, so your best hitters are hitting with guys in scoring position.
Archer ahead in the count, 0-2.
I tell you, he has changed his rhythm, if you will, on the mound now with runners on base, and his pace much slower. Not using the fastball as much, trying to trick him with the breaking ball. And the Jays are lighting him up this inning.
Cabrera tied for second in the American League in hits with 114. Can he get 115 here and help out the cause for the Jays? Bases are jammed here. One away, top of the third inning. Ground ball, backhanded by Forsythe, but he's unable to gobble it up, and the runner from third will score. It's Dan Johnson, and it's a single and an RBI for Cabrera. And they're just moving them along 90 feet at a time, Tabby.
Yeah, infield single here, infield single there. It looked like Forsythe wanted to catch that ball and flip it. He was only going to get one out. Any way you look at that, he was only going to get the out in the middle of the diamond. It was just hit too far to his right. Melky runs too fast to turn two on that. There was no angle for him, really, to flip that ball to Escobar around the bag. So the Blue Jays take the lead here 2-1.
And a meeting at the mound now after the right-hander Archer struck out the side at the top of the first. With a 1-2-3 with 2 strikeouts in the second.
Cruising right along.
And after the visit, Archer steps back at the mound, and the ERA leader since May 17th. It's tough to get runs off of him.
Well, what he doesn't give up home runs. He's given up 5 home runs all season long. Last start, when he pitched into the 9th inning, he gave up 2 solo home runs to the Tigers, and that was it. So it's tough to get rallies going against him, but the Blue Jays are taking it one step at a time, if you will.
Archer, the riding fastball.
You can see Archer, we talked about him taking his time and slowing his pace with runners on base. It's also looking like he's trying to be perfect with his fastball. First 2 innings, it was like, here it is, boys. Let me see what you can do with it. Now he's trying to put it on the corner or throw it up and in. Just let it go.
Bautista right on that one, and he fouls it back. He's thinking, can I dial one up here?
Tell you what, first 2 innings, he didn't have to. He just challenged him with fastballs, and the Blue Jays got out. They struck out 5 of the first 6 batters he faced.
Bases are loaded. Bautista struck out looking in the second. Top of the third here. They set up outside, and that one skied off to the right side.
I'm guessing that was the message that Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, took out to Archer. Hey, first 2 innings, you were quicker, you were throwing more fastballs, you weren't trying to be too perfect, and look what happened. Now you're trying to paint the outside corner and trying to be too perfect, and you got yourself in a jam.
Blue Jays lead 2-1, looking for more. And Bautista in the air to right field. Zobrist is back, and that'll do the job as Reyes will tag up and score. And heading over to third base is Kawasaki. Sac fly RBI is 53rd of the season for Bautista. And the Jays now lead here 3-1.
Good piece of hit right there by Bautista. He stayed back on that ball and did not want to go out there and try and drive the ball. Watch how he stays back on the ball, and he's thinking up the middle to right center field. All I have to do is elevate a ball. I don't want to overcommit too quickly. And he gets himself an RBI.
Runners at the corners for Navarro. Flew out to left field back in the second. Archer's given up 3 here in the third. Navarro with a bouncer. Escobar comes over back of that second base, back onto the second base side, fires over to first base. However, the Jays take the lead 3-1. Kawasaki through the right side with an RBI. McCarty Front Row to @ Blue Jays on Twitter. You could win front row seats for you and 3 friends to a 2014 Blue Jays home game. Prize includes round-trip airfare to Toronto and 2 nights accommodation. Full contest rules at bluejays.com/McCarty Front Row. Jays with 3 runs scored in the top of the 3rd, and Mark Buehrle getting some run support now. And let's see how he responds and reacts.
Finally getting some runs to work with.
Geyer, Longoria, and Loney, middle of the order for Joe Maddon's team. And the first pitch just laid in there for a strike. Francisco even with the bag at 3rd. Straight away up the middle, and this one grounded right back through the middle into center field. And Geyer aboard with a single.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Geyer 2 for 2, and here's Longoria. Sac fly RBI back at the bottom of the 1st inning. And another first pitch fastball strike. Geyer held on by Bautista at first base with a lead, and Buehrle glances over. The 0-1, and it's quickly 0-2.
Buehrle does so many good things to help him win ball games. He fields his position well. We've seen that. He holds runners. He's got a great pickoff move over to first base. Then he makes good pitches. I mean, he's everything you want as a starter. Pitches you deep into the ball game. He has a streak right now of 13 straight starts where he has thrown at least 6 innings. If that is not the definition of consistency, I don't know what is.
He has been that throughout his career. And a swing and a miss by Longoria, and that is the 2nd strikeout for the lefty Buehrle.
Well, when he pitches deep like that, he's going to get decisions.
Yep.
He's only had 2 starts this year where he hasn't had a decision. And that's what you want from your starter. Give me enough innings where you're either going to be the winner or the loser.
He's only had 1 losing season. That was back in 2006 when he was with the White Sox. He was 12-13. It also happened to be the year at which his ERA was the highest at 4.99. But you think about his career, what he's been able to do, and you know what you're going to get every time you hand him the baseball. He's not going to dazzle you, but here he is, as you mentioned earlier, going to another All-Star game.
5 of them now for Mark. He's going to give you his best effort every time. He might not have his best stuff, and we have seen him already this year compete and win when he doesn't have his best stuff.
But that's always the sign, isn't it? I mean, how many times do you actually have your best stuff?
Maybe.
And there's a strike.
I've talked to pitchers about that before, and you might have 32 starts, maybe 34 if you're lucky. You might have your A stuff 3 or 4 times a year. You know,
yeah, it's what you do with all the other.
Yeah, Buehrle had his good stuff his first start of the season right here in Tampa.
Lifted and to shallow center field, and chasing it down is Reyes. A good job there in communication with Kawasaki, and Reyes handles it. And Loney is 0 for 2, and here's Rodriguez.
I tell you, those pop-ups into the outfield right there, the infielders are going to have to take it because the outfielders are so deep. You can see it wasn't hit high enough for any of the outfielders, but it's out there, so the infielders have to run that one down. Talking about Buehrle having his A game. He had his A game the first start here in Tampa. 11 strikeouts. 8 2/3. He should have had a complete game. There was a ball right off the glove of Brett Lawrie at third base that would have ended the game. He would have had the complete game shutout. But it went off of his glove. He only pitched 8 2/3. But he had 11 punch outs.
Got that W, and of course was 10-1. And that pitch misses, and things have changed since that time, and everybody knows the story. But the big thing is the lack of run support. That is for sure. Jays, though, in the top half of the third inning, score 3. It's 3-1. And a swing and a miss by Sean Rodriguez, who struck out in the second. Burley, and this is always so key. First pitch strike to 11 of the 15 batters he has faced. Geyer with a leadoff single. He's over at first base, still 2 away. And the pitch misses high, going up in the zone. And the count 2-2 with 2 out. Burley, 12 years in Chicago on the south side, as that one is ripped foul down the left field line. Just 1 year into Miami, and the 35-year-old in his second year with the Toronto Blue Jays. The 2-2. Skied into the infield. On the left side, there is Reyes, and Reyes with a putout. And after the leadoff single by Geyer, he is stranded over at first base. Longoria, Loney, and Rodriguez 1-2-3 after that single. Cover every angle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking news, photos, videos, opinions, and tweets. A one-stop shop for everything Blue Jays. A Blue Jays rundown only on Sportsnet.ca. And the latest from Ben Nicholson-Smith. Lind could return to the Blue Jays within 2 weeks. He got a second opinion in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so not as bad as originally thought.
Well, hurt himself on June 14th, fouled a ball off, and they found a small fracture now. And usually a fracture takes 6 to 8 weeks to get you back out on the field. If you do the math, that was 4 weeks ago. You add the 2 weeks to 3 weeks that they're talking about right now, and that's right in line for a player to come back from a fracture in his foot. So we could see Adam by the end of this month.
Reimold swings through it. And talking to John Gibbons before the game, sitting in the manager's office, and talking about Nolan Reimold, and he's all business, big, strong guy, and the pitch is up and in. And you could tell that he appreciates having him on his roster.
Yeah, and he appreciates getting another chance here. Had a couple of tough injuries with the Baltimore Orioles and wasn't really sure if he was going to play baseball again. But he has worked hard to get back here and now has an opportunity. I asked him today, I said, you know, what type of hitter are you? Do you like to use the whole field? Are you a power hitter? He said, I can turn on some pitches when I need to, but I'm thinking about up the middle and when I'm letting that ball get a little bit deeper. That means I'm seeing the ball better and I'm not out in front. I want to hit the ball in front, but I don't want to have to reach for it.
Originally a second-round draft pick by the Baltimore Orioles. And that pitch inside.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Lovely day outside here in Tampa Bay. Here inside Tropicana Field with the Jays up 3-1. Reimold at first. And Archer now scuffling. And the catcher Molina is going to go out and deliver the baseball to him.
He certainly has a message for his young starter right now. That was a breaking ball. First pitch. Last time up, Colby hit the first pitch. He saw a fastball from Archer for a single that started that 3-run inning last inning. So they're going to try and trick him right there and throw a breaking ball, and he's behind.
Archer to Rasmus. Rasmus skies this one down the right field line, and Zobrist moving over with a step into foul ground, catches it, and a heads-up play by Reimold as he tags up from first base after the walk, and he's now in scoring position.
Boy, what a smart play by Reimold. Heads-up base running right there. He knows how difficult playing right field is to go over to the line, being a right-handed thrower, to catch it, spin around, and then throw accurately. He knows that, so he's going to tag up, and with those long strides, makes it easily into scoring position.
Went to Bowling Green, Ohio, and of course, the great Orel Hershiser went to Bowling Green State University.
Played for my buddy Danny Schmitz. We were teammates together in the Yankee organization. He's been the baseball coach there for years.
Reimold with a lead at second. And Dan Johnson is the batter. He walked and scored back in the third. Trying to add to this Jays lead here with a runner at second base, and Toronto up 3-1. Archer out of the stretch, and the break into pitch misses outside. Archer through the first 2 innings was rolling 5 strikeouts, and then Erasmus first pitch swinging, and then a walk to Johnson. Erasmus laced a pitch into right field, and he has really struggled. He's been all over that zone.
Well, once they put him in the stretch, he hasn't been able to throw strikes. And I thought the Dan Johnson at bat last inning was the biggest at bat. Really got that inning, gave him the opportunity to have a big inning. He ended up walking, and he's a pitch away from doing it again.
Archer, and there's a fastball pumped in there. He was acquired from the Chicago Cubs in the Matt Garza deal. He was a 2010 Cubs minor league pitcher of the year, and then in 2012 he was named the Rays minor league pitcher of the year. He led the International League in strikeouts with 139 and Ks per 9 inning at 9.8. And the right-hander deals foul territory, giving it chase is Longoria, and it's out of play off of the top of the dugout. Jays fans down there along the third base line. A lot of blue out there.
They love coming here and cheering on the Jays. We always run into a lot of fans here. And one of them's going to get a souvenir.
Top of the fourth, leadoff walk. Reimold tagged up on a fly ball to deep right field. In foul territory, he's at second base. Johnson, the batter, awaits, and the breaking pitch is upstairs, and another walk. That is the third. And the other thing about walks, when you're walking the eighth batter, and here comes Hickey once again, and you've now walked him twice, and that's where you want to avoid. You want to go right at the bottom of the third
Absolutely.
of the lineup.
This is a teaching moment right here by a pitching coach, Jim Hickey, talking to his young starter Archer about pitch selection, finishing off your pitches. Certainly wanted to talk to him and slow him down just a little bit, but once they give him in the stretch, he just hasn't been able to throw strikes consistently. 3-2 breaking ball to Dan Johnson. And I think that's what you're talking about going after the guy.
Well, through the first 2 innings, he had some really good stuff. The ball had a lot of movement to it, and
threw 2 breaking balls through the first 2 innings.
Runners at first and second, and Juan Francisco. He loves seeing that first pitch, and it's a break-it ball. He's dialed in on that first pitch fastball.
I'll tell you what, he's got to be sitting all over it right now. And he could put 3 runs on the board quickly.
Don't even think about it if it's spinning. Those laces are spinning in a different direction. This one, dribble to the right side, scooped up by the second baseman of Forsythe over to first base. And runners now at second and third, 4-3 on the putout.
Boy, what a heads-up play by Dan Johnson, the runner at first base. Timing himself right when that ball was getting to the second baseman and jumped over the ball to try and distract him. You have to give the fielder an opportunity to field the baseball. He did, but tried to distract him. Here he is at first base. Curveball's hit out into no man's land, and he times it. Watch him jump right over that ball. Maybe you block the second baseman just a little bit, and he misses it, but he makes that play easily. And now we have an injury on third base.
Over at third base is Reimold, as he slid into third, and John Gibbons is there. And Reimold in just his 4th game with the Toronto Blue Jays, and you see him walking awkwardly now back toward the dugout, and you know how difficult that must be for Nolan Reimold with everything that he has battled over the last 2 years with injuries. And you see him now hobbling through that dugout and down into the stairway heading into the locker room, the clubhouse of the Blue Jays. Runner at second and third, and Reyes fouls this one off.
Darren Mastriani comes in, the 4th outfielder on the Blue Jays. He's going to take over and play right field for Nolan Reimold. As soon as we get a report from the Blue Jays, we'll let you know what happened there.
Another tough break for the Blue Jays.
And Nolan Reimold, we were watching the play, the ground ball to the second baseman, and he was the runner at second, making his way to third base. There was no play. It was just an easy grounder. Sure, he wasn't sliding into second base or anything. Maybe he pulled up, tweaked something.
Reyes fouls this one off. Mastriani is over at third base now. Taking over for Reimold, and at second base is Dan Johnson. There are 2 out here in the top of the 4th inning as the Toronto Blue Jays lead 3-1. Blue Jays looking for more here. Runners in scoring position. Reyes down in the count, set up outside, and a fastball rides high.
Well, they have to take advantage of Archer's wildness right now. Walk 2 in this inning. They've got him in scoring position. Somebody's got to come through a 2-out base hit here. Either Reyes or Kawasaki.
Reyes lines it into right field. Zobrist can't make the play. 2 runs will score and a big turn at first base for Jose Reyes, who pumps his right fist in the air, claps his hands, and then points back over toward the dugout of the Blue Jays.
There's that 2-out RBI right there. It almost was caught by Zobrist in right field. He got a great jump on this ball, hard charging. And I think when he hit the ground, it popped out. He got it on his glove. No, that's a short hop right there. That was a short hop all the way. Big hit for Jose Reyes and the Blue Jays.
Archer has walked 3. And those 3 have all scored. 5-1 now, Blue Jays. And Reyes drives it into right field and picks up 2 RBIs.
That's how you take advantage of a pitcher's wildness right there. You wait for a fastball that came right over the middle, and he clobbered that ball to right field.
Kawasaki came through in the 3rd. Reyes now 2 for 3 with a run scored. And those 2 RBIs. Kawasaki 1 for 2, and he swings and misses. And Toronto 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. 5 for 45 the rest of this road trip.
We're not going to talk about the first part of the road trip.
You don't want to talk about Oakland? Or
no, that was a little bit too rough right there.
The other night in Anaheim. Understandable, Tabby.
Yeah, you just have to forget about that tonight. Much better. You know, they started showing signs, I think, over the last couple of games. They started showing better signs at the plate in the way they were going about their approach at the plate. Thinking back through the middle, they hit the ball hard. They recorded at least 12 hits in back-to-back games for the 3rd time this season.
Reyes with the lead at first base. 2 outs here. The count of 1-2. Archer to the plate. Inside out swing for Kawasaki.
You know, that's why they have him hitting second. He takes a lot of pitches. He can hit the ball to left field. He can pull it when he needs to. And he'll take some pitches if Reyes wants to try and steal in front of him.
Two outs here, top of the 4th inning, and the Jays with a 4-run lead. Archer steps off the back of the rubber, and already Hickey, the pitching coach, has been out there twice.
Remember, the bullpen is a little short tonight for the Rays, so they have to let Archer go as deep as possible.
The 1-2, swing and a miss. 7th strikeout. Yet Jose Reyes and the Blue Jays come through, lacing it into right field, and 2 score for Toronto. They lead 5-1 here. Broadcast experience and baseball IQ. Jerry and Joe calling Blue Jays baseball all season long. Only on Sportsnet 590. The Fan, right next door to us here in Tropicana Field.
Who's the baseball experience and who's the baseball IQ?
It's both.
Both? Okay.
Jerry and Joe. 5-1 here. And Burley is got that run support. And what will he do with it? Escobar is the batter, and out in right field.
Darren Mastriani will take over in right field for Nolan Reimold. And again, as soon as we hear something from the Blue Jays, we'll pass it along to everybody. Desmond Jennings has already left this ball game.
Bruised left knee. X-rays were negative. That's how it's been for both of these teams.
Lots of injuries. I was talking to a scout today during dinner, Texas Ranger scout. 27 players on the disabled list this year for the Rangers.
Maybe that explains why they own that horrible record.
27 players have hit the DL this year for them.
5-1. Home half of the fourth inning. And Escobar, who flew out back in the second inning, 0 for 1, fouls that one off. Molina and then Forsythe, bottom third of the lineup for Joe Madden. Burley looks down the barrel, and he's ready to go. And the 3-2 is fouled off once again. The All-Star with the 3-2 pitch in the air. Rasmus with plenty of time and a room to work with. One away. Let's send it to Jamie with an update in the studio. Jamie. Baltimore, they've been on a roll. Burley looks in, and Molina with a base hit with 2 outs in the second, was ultimately stranded at third base, hitting just 193.
Oh, that was a big inning, I thought, for the Blue Jays. And Mark Burley got the first 2 batters quickly. Single, double walk. Now he's got the bases loaded. And he's facing Ben Zobrist and gets him to fly out. That might have been the turning point for him right there. Looks like he's locked in again.
Quickly working, and the pitch is outside. Baltimore at the start of the day, 3 games in front of the Blue Jays. And Molina fights this one off to the right side. And the count 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away here in the fourth inning. In the American League East, it's Baltimore, Toronto, and New York, a game back at Toronto, and Tampa Bay into Boston. Interestingly enough, the Red Sox on a Wednesday night had 5 rookies in the lineup. And so for the Red Sox, maybe they're thinking a little bit differently than the other teams in the American League East, the other 4. Strike 3 for sure.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Some Rays here in St. Petersburg. And Burley with 2 outs. And Forsythe single to right field in the second. Looks at a first pitch strike once again. And And strike two right at the knees.
If he keeps dialing in right there, he's going to carve up that corner all night long.
The 0-2. And just a little bit up in the zone.
Questioned by some of the Blue Jays. That ball was up. This is where Burley can go in or out here.
Breaking ball. And it's slapped into right field for a base hit. Mastriani over. And it gets away from Kawasaki. However, he scoops it up. And a base hit. That breaking ball was just out over the plate.
First time he showed it to him in that sequence. Did a good job of staying back on it.
So here is Kevin Kiermaier. Highly regarded, hitting .297 with 8 home runs and 21 RBIs. Left-handed bat with a runner at first. He took over for Desmond Jennings. After the second inning, Jennings fouled the pitch off of his left knee and then was walked to first base. They had a slow breaking pitch and he fanned at it.
Looked like a changeup right there from Burley. Kiermaier, you can see his numbers with 2 strikes. He's got 5 home runs and 10 RBIs with 2 strikes. We were talking to Derek Shelton before the game, and he reminds him of Grady Sizemore when Sizemore was a young player. A lot of energy, come to the ballpark every day ready to play. He's got some talent, some speed. Electricity, I think, was the word he used to describe him. Got a lot of electricity in him.
24 years of age, from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And he drills this one right back through the middle. And runners at first and second here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
He'd been swinging a hot bat. He had a grand slam the other day. His first grand slam, he stayed in with 2 strikes that time. Soft single into center field. Now Ben Zobrist gets another shot with 2 outs and a couple of runners on.
Kiermaier against the Royals went 4 for 4. With the first grand slam, as you mentioned, of his career. It was the team's first slam in over a year. Will Myers, June 22nd, 2013, against the Yankees in New York off of CC Sabathia. And the pitch is down and in to Zobrist. Zobrist is 1 for 2. Stranded at third back in the first inning. Runners at first and second, in the pitch down and in, and it's 2-0 now. Bautista well off the bag at first base. Kawasaki shaded toward the second base bag. Forsythe with a lead off a second, and down and in once again, and 3 times he has missed.
They do such a good job, the Tampa Bay Rays, in working the count and making sure that that pitcher comes into him, throws a strike. No wild swingers on this team.
There's a strike. Zobrist, and it's just foul down the third base line. Foul side of the bag. Zobrist, including tonight, has been on base in 12 of the past 13 games. And in the month of July, including today's game, he is 15 for 38, and he has struck out just 1 time. Zobrist awaits. The count is full. 2 outs and 2 on. Jays lead at 5-1 here in the home half of the 4th. And Burley to the plate, and the pitch is swung on and driven into left field. Forsythe will come around and score, and hustling into second base is Zobrist. Runners at second and third now for the Rays.
Well, a couple of things there. Zobrist gets a pitch that he can handle and singles to left field. Now, Melky Cabrera, that ball should have gone into second base. Kiermaier can really run. Here's the pitch from Burley. It is up and in, and now the single to left field. The throw's got to go into second base. Kiermaier is going to make it because he can run. No chance to get him at third base. Comes around, comes up firing, no chance to get him, and that allows Zobrist to move up in the scoring position to second base. Blue Jays have made the most of their hits. They've got 5 runs on 5 hits. The Rays have 9 hits and only 2 runs.
5-2 now. Geyer goes after the first pitch, launches it into left center field. And Erasmus is right there, and that'll bring the bottom of the 4th to an end. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Presented by Bacardi, Friday, July 18th. Blue Jays and the Rangers, 7:07 first pitch. Come down to the Rogers Center early. Check out the pregame festivities happening outside Gate 10. Win great prizes, folks. Enjoy the live music in a licensed area. Gates open at 4:30 p.m. Call 416-341-1234. Or for more details, log on to BlueJays.com. Top of the 5th inning here in St. Petersburg. It'll be middle of the lineup for John Gibbons, Cabrera, Bautista, and Navarro, and the Jays with a 5-2 lead. And Cabrera looks at that first pitch. 1-0 the count. Cabrera struck out looking to end the first. And a base hit back in the 3rd inning, and he picked up an RBI. Forsythe was unable to come up with it cleanly. It was back of the bag, and he would not have had to play at the first base. And Cabrera picked up a single. This one driven into right field, and so Cabrera continues his hot hitting. He is 2 for 3.
Number 19, Jose Bautista.
Disney's Planes, Fire and Rescue. Dusty's back in an all-new adventure, landing at theaters in 3D July 18th.
Jose Bautista in the batter's box. And the breaking ball is down and away. At first base is Melky Cabrera. Jose Bautista last time up. Great piece of hitting, Tabby.
Yeah, picked up a sacrifice fly with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs. And I think you're going to see him go to right field again. That fly ball went to right field. He stayed inside it. Let the hands go first. The barrel was a little bit late. And he hit a fly ball to right field to pick up an RBI. Now that you see the Rays with those 3 infielders on the left side and the first baseman having to hold the runner, you hit a ground ball to the second baseman where he should be standing. That's first and third easily.
Cabrera with the lead over at first base. And Loney holds him on, and that opens it up even more on that side. And Archer deals it. Bautista takes a big hack at that one. Blue Jays with a 3-run lead here in the top of the 5th inning. Leadoff runner aboard. Archer, who has been strong his last 3 times out on the hill. Worked easily through the first 2 innings. In the 3rd, 4th, and now here in the 5th, he has struggled with his command.
It's almost like he's trying to place the ball on the outside corner instead of throwing the ball to the outside corner. Early in the game, he was just attack. Here's my fastball. Let me see what you can do with it. And the Blue Jays couldn't do anything. And now they're starting to incorporate the walks, the long pitch counts, the good at bats.
Bautista in the air to left, and tracking it down is Geyer. And there's one away. Some action in the bullpen for the Rays.
Cesar Ramos now gets up and starts to get loose. They just moved Eric Bedard to the bullpen, and Ramos is in there, the bullpen also. Jake McGee is not going to be here today or tomorrow. He is on paternity leave, so you take that big left-handed arm out of that bullpen.
And Bedard went to the pen with Jeremy Hellickson coming back the other night. And Archer, the right-hander, and here's the pitch to Navarro, and it's outside. And Cabrera over at first base. Bautista flew out to left field, and there's one down. Navarro is 0 for 2. Archer looks over his left shoulder and now deals, and it's low and away. And Ramos continues to get ready in the bullpen. Archer, 25 years of age, signed a 6-year contract extension on April 2nd, and then the very next day he went out and picked up a victory against the Blue Jays. The 2-0, and a strike is called. It's 2-1 now with one away here in the 5th. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talked to Dave Martinez and mentioned this early on, how Archer had found the rhythm and they really worked with him to pick up the pace, and he has gone from, you know, dealing it, getting it right in there to now the pace has slowed dramatically. Navarro in the air to right center field and moving over is Zobrist, and he's underneath it. He'll make the catch.
Well, that does a couple of things. The infielders and the outfielders, they stand around too much then. When you've taken 25, 30 seconds in between every pitch, they're not as sharp. So when a ball is hit, you're not going to get that quick jump that you need to make the out. It's always better when you're moving and throwing strikes. There it is right there. That's what he was talking about. The infielder sitting down in between these pitches because it's so long.
Mastriani is the batter, came on for Reimel. And he scored in the 4th inning. No update yet on Nolan Reimel. There's Darren Mastriani. With Minnesota and Toronto, you see the combined numbers.
Got the shift on for him. They know Nolan Reimel's out of the game.
You know he's looking out there to the right side saying, all right, let me see if I can work it over that way.
He took a shot right there. He was taking a shot. Astro hit a ground ball to the right side and you get yourself a base hit.
Absolutely. Just push it right past Archer.
This guy's throwing 95 miles an hour. Tough to pull him.
Keep those hands inside and just flip it over there.
Just flick it to the right side.
Cabrera at first. And there's that slider. A right-hander now up for the Rays. And the bullpen.
That's Kirby Yates, young player from their farm system, just called up.
Cabrera running, and the pitch is high. The throw down to second is in time, and Cabrera is thrown out. And Archer out of the top of the 5th inning. But the Blue Jays with a 5-2 lead as we head to the home half of inning 5.
Island, July 28th through 29th, Victoria Park. Instructors will include Jesse Barfield, Devon White, Brian McRae, and former Devil Ray Tanya Sturge. Visit BlueJays.com/baseball academy. The Toronto Blue Jays are proud supporters of amateur baseball across Canada. And Edwin Encarnacion in the house.
You'd love to see him out there with you.
Yeah, he's in the house, but he's not in uniform.
So here in the 5th inning, 5-2. And a strike to Longoria. And he drives this one into deep right field, and Mastro is underneath it. He'll make the catch.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
James Loney is the batter. He is 0 for 2. And Burley, who is 0 and 5 over his last 6 outings, deals a strike. And over Those 5 losses, just 4 runs of support. He's got 5.
He's trying to break a streak where he hasn't won a game since June 1st. Pitched a dandy against the Kansas City Royals. He was the first major leaguer to 10 wins. He just hasn't been able to crack the win column since. He's left a couple of ball games with the lead, and the bullpen coughed up some leads. He's pitched well.
Pitch outside. Here's the 1-2. In the air, and Erasmus settles underneath it. Now takes 3 steps back. And that is the second out. The 101st edition of the most prestigious race in cycling, the Tour de France, the crown jewel in Sportsnet's Summer of Cycling. Coverage continues tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on 5 Sportsnet channels. Tour de France. 2 outs, and Sean Rodriguez is the hitter. He is hitless here tonight. And Rodriguez skies this one off to the right side. Is there room for Bautista? There is, and a good job of looking up, seeing that roof, and then dealing with it, backpedaling. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Mark Burley. Five-2 Toronto as we head to the top of the 6th inning. And Chris Archer, Tabby, is done for the evening, and Joe Madden goes to his bullpen and brings in a Ramos.
Archer closing in on 100 pitches. He's a Ramos now into the ball game. He's made 20 relief appearances, and he's done a good job. I guess you would call him their long man. He has made 2 appearances, or 2 innings, 6 times this season. Ramos, the left-hander, he doesn't throw hard. Fastball, but cut it. A little bit of a curveball and a changeup. Now Mastriani will get a second chance here. He was standing at the plate when Melky Cabrera was thrown out trying to steal to end the 5th.
Archer, despite those 7 strikeouts, really scuffled in the 3rd and the 4th. He breezed through the first 2. And after a couple of trips to the mound by the pitching coach Hickey, you know that the Rays were thinking, all right, Let's see if he can just give us one more batter and work from there, and he was able to do that. Finally went through 5. Lefty comes set. Mastriani taking over for Nolan Reimold. Reimold left in the 4th inning as he went into third base on a ground ball chopper off of the bat of Juan Francisco. Mastriani was the hitter when Cabrera was caught stealing to end the 5th inning, and this one is driven foul.
Chad Jenkins has picked up the ball and he's starting to get loose. Mark Burley's at 93 pitches and had a 1-2-3 5th inning. So this is interesting right here, seeing Chad Jenkins up and getting ready. John Gibbons doesn't like to get his relievers up unless he's going to use them in the game.
In the air to right field, Zobrist back and 1 away. Good to catch up with John Gibbons before the game today. Just talked about the ups and downs of this season, and when things were just rolling and everything was going right, and now it just seems as though everything is headed in the other direction. And then you talk to Joe Madden and the Rays, and early on there was just nothing going our way, and now it seems as though, geez, most things are. And it's amazing how that happens.
Just the opposite, isn't it, from what the Blue Jays went through? And Gibby's right. There was a time where they were doing everything right. They were pitching it. They were making web gems, 2 or 3 a night, hitting everything, knocking the ball out of the ballpark. But he knows, he's a veteran, he's been around, he knows there's highs and lows in this game, and you up and you go down, and you want to try and find a middle ground where you're consistent day in and day out.
Rasmus awaits, and the pitch is in the dirt.
Joe Madden, on the other hand, he has seen the worst, and that was May 26th through June the 10th. They lost 14 out of 15 games. And you say, how can a team with the pitching staff of David Price and so on lose 14 out of 15 times? They just couldn't do anything. They couldn't hit with runners on base. They couldn't field the ball. They gave up tough pitches when they had to make good pitches. And then they went out and they've won 18 out of 10 on the other side there, the Blue Jays. We all know that how good they were in May. 18-4 from May 12th through June 4th, but since then just 10-21.
Well, on June 11th, the Rays were 24-42, the worst record in the major leagues by 4 games. Rasmus with the shift on, he'll ground out, and 2 away. Forsythe 4-3. And they were 15 games out of first place in the American League East. Now they're 9.5. 11 games out of the wild card. And they own the worst run differential in the big leagues.
They're getting healthy. They got Jeremy Hellickson back. And they got Alex Cobb back. David Price is still here. They're just starting to hit their stride, I think.
Just receiving word that Reimold left with a left calf strain. That was back in the top of the 4th inning. And he is listed as day-to-day. Unfortunate news for John Gibbons.
It had to be something like that because all he did was run from second to third on a ground ball to the right side. So you knew it had to be some kind of muscle strain. There, Mastriani pinch ran for him, scored a run. He's taken over for him in right field. What they're going to have to do is determine the severity of that calf strain.
Johnson, the batter, has walked twice. He has scored twice, and a big looping curveball misses.
If that calf strain is too much, they're going to need another player here. They don't have another outfielder.
And Johnson awaits the 1-1, and here it is. And that one's outside. Tampa's won 11 of 15. And we've talked about how they've been able to turn it around. And back on June 6th, just a little bit over a month ago, the Blue Jays were 38-24 after a win against the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. It was the last W of a 6-game winning streak. And since that time, 10-21. Trying to change that all here as they head toward the All-Star break. Johnson, 3-1 count, hitter's count for Dan Johnson, and he grounds this one foul, and the count now runs full with 2 away here in the top of the 6th.
And saying, hey, I want to swing.
Yeah, I've walked twice.
First 2 times up, they haven't given me anything to hit. 3-1, I'm swinging.
Yeah, and the response there, you can see the facial expression. He's like, I missed it. Count full. Ramos comes set, and here's the pitch. Good eye by Dan Johnson. He has been up to the plate 3 times. He has walked 3 times, and with 2 outs, he's aboard. And the lefty, Brett Cecil, out there warming up as well for John Gibbons.
Just now starting to throw.
Johnson at first base. Francisco is the batter. And you know his struggles against lefties. He is just 2 for 27 against left-handers. His career average is 154. It's below that, and a breaking ball.
So don't look for a fastball, because you're not going to get one. He might show it to you.
That's one of those move up in the plate, try to catch it before it breaks.
Before it breaks. Split an outfielder right here. Try and get a double and score that runner from first.
Shift is on. And a strike. Since June 3rd, he's batting just 171, and his average has dropped from 276 down to where it resides now. Entering tonight at 234, he is 0 for 2. And a swing and a miss. Strikes him out. That'll do it in the top of the 6th inning. Blue Jays lead 5-2. Let's go to the bottom half of the inning. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Tropicana Field here on a Friday night. And Mark Burley has done 5 innings of work, 9 hits, 2 runs earned, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and 93 pitches.
93 pitches, and he's out of the game. He had a 1-2-3 fifth inning, a couple of fly balls and a pop out. So if he is out, he is in line for the win if the bullpen now can hold it for him because he pitched the required 5 innings. Chad Jenkins into the ball game. Jenkins last worked a week ago. First game, 5th game against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Escobar, the batter. And that pitch misses. Burley, 93 pitches, as you mentioned, 60 for strikes. And Archer threw 91 pitches, 55 for strikes. And the 1-1. And that misses.
Jenkins is a sinker baller. Fastball's got good running movement on it. He'll cut his fastball and throw a slider. I think what the Blue Jays are thinking about Jenkins here. 7, 8, 9, all ranking hitters. A chance to give him an inning here to start bridging it to Casey Jansen in the 9th inning. John Gibbons going to his bullpen after Burley threw those 93 pitches. They're well rested with the off day yesterday. So Jenkins comes out. He's got the 6th.
Through the right side. It's been in the bottom half of the order, although that's Escobar's first hit of the night. He is 1 for 3. It's Molina and Forsythe that are 3 for 4 combined. Let's send it to Jamie Campbell in the studio. Jamie.
Number 28, Jose Molina.
5-2. Toronto here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jenkins on for the Jays, and Molina fouls this one off. Molina 1 for 2 with 2 outs in the 2nd. He singled to left field and then was stranded at 3rd base.
Well, it's a great opportunity, I think, for the Blue Jays. If you make one good pitch and get it on the ground right out of the infield, you got an excellent chance of turning 2. Jenkins worked 3 days ago when he picked up Jay Happ, who could only go 5 1/3 innings. He threw an inning in the 3rd against the Los Angeles Angels. So he's well rested. Got to get that sinker ball and keep it down.
The 0-2, and the pitch misses high. Blue Jays with a 3-run lead. Rays got on the board first in the 1st inning. Jennings with a base hit into right field and later scored on a sacrifice fly off of the bat of Longoria. Jennings did leave the game in the 2nd after fouling a pitch off of his left knee. He later walked. Down 5-1, they came back in the 4th inning, and it was the bottom half of the order that got it going. In fact, 8 and 9. 9 specifically in Forsythe. And how about this? Molina drives it into left field, and Cabrera makes a leaping catch and fires it back in to the infield. Molina giving it a drive, and now Cabrera, you see him.
That could have been dangerous for the Blue Jays. Molina's hitting 187, no home runs, 3 RBIs this season. He gave it a ride, but Melky Cabrera got back and made the catch. Chad Jenkins with his hands on his hips saying, thank you very much, Melky. Picking me up right there. He's got to get that sinker down.
And you see him grabbing at his left side there is Melky Cabrera as he tracked that one down.
Chad at times gets underneath the ball. His hand is underneath it, and it doesn't allow the ball to get down in the strike zone where you want ground balls. I think that's why Pete Walker, the pitching coach, went out there to talk to him just to remind him, hey, stay on top of that ball. You got to drive it down towards the knees. Get the ground ball out. Melky Cabrera has come up with some great plays this season. And we highlight him in the defense. He's got 7 outfield assists, tied for 3rd in the American League now with those assists. That time, that might have been a game saver right there. That ball falls in, and Rays are in business.
Forsythe is 2 for 2. Ground ball. Runner was moving quickly, flipped over to second base, not in time, on to first, and it out there. So Escobar was running on the pitch to avoid a double play. That was tailor-made for a double play. They don't get it there.
And John Gibbons is slowly walking out. He's going to make the pitching change right here. That's why you start the runner, because Jenkins got that good sinker ball. Clearly safe, easy play, easy call. So runner at second base and 2 outs, and the left-hander in John Gibbons is going to play percentages and go to his lefty.
So he's going to bring in Cecil. Jenkins is done. The runner at second base is his responsibility. That's Escobar. Jays lead at 5-2 here in the bottom of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th.
36th time this season for Cecil. He pitched on Wednesday's game. Faced one batter through one pitch. Gave a fly ball out to Cole Calhoun. Comes back in here. This is why they had him warming up, just in case somebody got on. John Gibbons wanted Cecil to face the left-hander.
Kiermaier, first pitch swinging. Ground ball to Kawasaki over to Bautista, and that'll do it in the bottom of the 6th inning. Through 6 innings, Toronto with a 5-2 lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. Vampirism has broken out in New York City. This is not just another vampire show. It's from Guillermo del Toro. This is The Strain, premieres exclusively on FX Canada Sunday, July 13th, 8 Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain. Not available on Bell. To the top of the 7th we go. And it's the top of the order for John Gibbons. Reyes, Kawasaki, Cabrera. And Reyes fouls this one back. They had lined up perfectly for Gibbons there in the 6th. Jenkins, and then going to Cecil. And Kiermaier swings at the first pitch.
And now the question is, does Brett Cecil stay into the ball game here? Do you burn him for one pitch? They have some action down in that bullpen. And again, when John Gibbons gets a guy up and this early, he usually brings him into the ball game.
Reyes 2 for 3. He turns around to the right side, trying to bunt his way aboard. You see on the right sleeve Zim, and of course that is for the legendary Don Zimmer. 66 years in baseball, and what a true gem that this game had through all those years. And if you had spent any time with Don Zimmer, you walked away with a smile on your face and a lot more baseball knowledge than when you originally sat down.
With a lot of laughs and stories galore. Learn something about the game when you sit down and talk to him. Yeah, he was a legend.
It's interesting. I remember back at his time in New York when he sat next to Joe Torre. And, he wasn't by the book guy. He would, all right, that may say that on that piece of paper, but you got to go with the gut.
He's a lifer. He has seen it all in baseball.
He was so proud of the fact that he never drew a paycheck outside of the game of baseball. This is the only thing that he ever loved as far as getting up and going to work. And if you asked him, it wasn't. To the right side, scooped up. And there's one away here. Forsythe Deloney.
Cesar Ramos has always pitched well against the Blue Jays. This is his 18th appearance against them, all in relief, and the Blue Jays are hitting 160 against them. Nothing fancy. Throws a lot of strikes, comes right after you, cuts his fastball, keeps it down low. Blue Jays just have had trouble hitting him.
Kawasaki looks at a strike, and Zim was devoted to the game of baseball and to his wife Soot, who she's just a special woman. Lived here in the area, and the last team, of course, he was employed with, the Tampa Bay Rays.
We were so fortunate when we opened the season here with the 4-game series. He was able to come down for the last time and make opening day, and they recognized him.
Came up with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and actually, a lot of people don't realize he was a heck of a little baseball player, and unfortunately got hit in the head. Spent time in the hospital, and just a wonderful person to be around. A lifer. One away, top of the 7th. Kawasaki is 1 for 3. And there's a strike.
That's automatic right there for Kawasaki. 3-1. He's taken. He's hitting at the top of the order. He's trying to make that pitcher work, and he's not afraid to hit 3-2.
Dribbled to the right side, off of the mound, Ramos, and he tracks him down, and there's 2 away. 1 unassisted in the scorebook. Top of the 7th, and Melky Cabrera, the switch hitter, will turn around. Keeping score. And something that you think back in time.
Did you keep score when you went to ball games?
I did. At times I did.
Did you?
Yeah, when I watched you play back in 1980 for the Nashville Sounds, I did.
You were just a little boy then, weren't you?
I was barely learning how to write. I was 3 or 4 years old at the time.
I never did that. Come on, now I know you're kidding. I never did. My brother used to do that.
Yeah.
Keep score like that.
That's because you were a player.
I never learned how to keep score until I started doing this job.
Yeah. Yeah, I did at times. Not all the time. You know, a lot of time you go to the ballpark, you got a glove, so you didn't have a place for the book.
I wasn't dreaming about writing it down. I was dreaming about being out there.
Yeah. Well, your dreams came true. Cabrera laces out 1 foul. One and 1 the count. Cabrera made that great catch. And the bottom of the 6th off of the bat of Molina. Lefty comes set, has the target. And Cabrera lifts this one back towards us. 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors, and 4 left on the base for Toronto. 2 runs, 10 hits, no errors, and 8 left on board. Joe Madden commented about that. How he felt that the team wasn't taking advantage of the situation with runners in scoring position against Kansas City. Strike 3. On the inside edge, a 1-2-3. We go now to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Jays up 5-2. Official app of Major League Baseball. Listen to live audio, follow games pitch by pitch, and enjoy in-game video highlights. The app is available on the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, Android, and BlackBerry. Season-long subscription packages are available. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. Kawasaki is out and Tollefson is in at second base. So Steve Tollefson taking over at second for Kawasaki. Defensive replacement. Zobrist, Geyer, Longoria. All will hit from the right side against the lefty. Cecil, third pitcher used by John Gibbons. And a fastball poured in there for a strike. Fouled off. Longoria since 2008 in the American League. He is 10th in, Zobrist, the batter. I'll get to Longoria in a second. Zobrist is 2 for 3. Singled in the first, flied out to center in the second, and then a single in the fourth.
Such a tough player. I think he represents this team so well. He and Longoria, the way they never stop.
And this one driven into deep left center field. Rasmus going back, warning track, and to the deepest part of the ballpark. He's able to track it down. One away. Tomorrow, Hutchinson against Price. Price has won 3 in a row. And you know the stories about how the Jays have struggled against lefties. And with the run that the Tampa Bay Rays are making, there is so much conversation. Would a Price be dealt? I don't know about that now. And it all starts tomorrow with the pregame at 3:30 with Jamie Campbell and Greg Son on the ground to the shortstop race over to first base. And Geyer is done, and here's Longoria.
But first, we're going to have another pitching change. Brett Cecil did his job, retired all 3 of the batters that he faced, and now tough right-hander in Longoria. So John Gibbons wants the right-hander. Brett Cecil, good job.
So right-hander comes on to face Evan Longoria, who is 0 for 2 with a sac fly RBI. Back after this. Net live on your smartphone. Visit RogersAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. Bottom of the 7th inning. And Longoria will face Dustin McGowan.
McGowan last pitched on Wednesday through an inning in that game against the Angels, the game where they came back and won that game against the Blue Jays 8-7. He was good, though. An inning, he just gave up a walk, had a strikeout. This looks like he could go finish off the 7th and then the 8th inning. They've been pitching him in these high leverage situations lately at the back end of the bullpen. He has come through for the most part for the Blue Jays.
Longoria looks at a pitch outside. I was saying since 2008 in the American League, he is 10th in doubles, 4th in home runs, 5th in RBIs.
Well, this is where I want to see him.
Yeah. 2
outs, nobody on.
Absolutely. Safest bet. He's the Rays all-time home run leader. But he has just 2 extra base hits over the last 15 games. And the count of 1-1. Longoria with an RBI. That was back in the 1st inning. And this one is fouled back. Jennings scored from 3rd for the first run of the game at the bottom of the 1st. Jays answered in the top of the 3rd with 3, added 2 more in the top of the 4th. The Rays picked up 1 in the bottom of the 4th. And here we are in the home half of the 7th inning. Toronto 1-6 on this road trip. And a fastball outside. The history here, and speaking of 2008, hasn't been great for Toronto. The Rays have gone to 43-16 at home against the Blue Jays. Tabby. Over that span, only 2 teams, the Brewers are 45-12 against the Pirates, and the Yankees 43-15, and we know that story against Toronto, have a better home record against a divisional opponent than the Rays have against the Blue Jays. Pitch down low.
21 consecutive series at home without losing to the Blue Jays. Yeesh. 19 wins, obviously no losses, and there's been 2 splits. 21 consecutive series. John Gibbons would like to see of that ending.
He's piecing it together here with his bullpen. 4th pitcher of the night.
There it is. Last 21 series, the Blue Jays trouble at the trop. A run differential, being outscored 104 runs to the Rays. Longest unbeaten streak by a team in their own ballpark versus one opponent since the Rays went 25 series at Fenway Park without a series victory between 2002 and 2008. Time to shut that one down. Blue Jays had a chance first time we were here, first series of the season, but we lost the final game and split that 2-2.
Full count offering, and that one's foul. And a lefty up in the bullpen, and it's Loop. Aaron Loop out there for the Blue Jays. Tomorrow, Hutchinson against Price. Day game. And then Sunday, 1:40 start time. R.A. Dickey is moved up and will get the start on Sunday. Longoria walks here. There's R.A. And we'll see him on Sunday. So now trying to get the left-handers some time out there. As a left-handed Matt Loney is the next batter up for Joe Maddon's team. And
they're trying to get the attention of Bob Stanley to pick up the phone down there, see if he's ready.
Back in the day, no phones, just a lot of hand signals, right?
Back in the day,
ready to go?
Yeah, give me the tall guy, give me the short guy.
Get the towel, wave it out there. Is he ready to go? And the first pitch down and away. Loney ended the first. He grounded into a double play. Popped out to Reyes in the third and flew out to Rasmus in center field in the fifth. Runner over at first base. 2 outs here in the home half of the seventh. And a strike. 1-1 the count. Left-handed hitting Loney.
Burns had fastball right there at 95. Even if Loney swung at that ball, there's not much he can do with it.
That one's 95 in movement, but out of the zone. Three and one now. Longoria walked. He's at first. Being held on by Bautista. McGowan looks over that left shoulder. Now deals 3-1 back-to-back walks. And you have a right-handed designated hitter.
John Gibbons is looking. You can see him looking over there. He thought that he would see a pinch hitter right here. Sean Rodriguez is looking back, and that's why he has the left-hander loop up, thinking that Joe Madden would go to Joyce here as the DH. But Madden's crossing him up, and he's sending up the right-hander to face the right-handed pitcher McGowan.
So consecutive walks. Runners at first and second. Tying run at the plate. And here we go again. Rodriguez, the batter, 0 for 3. Burley's thinking, no, no, no. And this one fouled right back. Just misses us off to the right.
Rodriguez has faced Dustin 4 times. He's 0 for, still looking for his first hit. But Madden will do different things. You can't think along with them.
0-1 the count. McGowan's put himself in this jam and now trying to get out of it. Runner at second base in scoring position is Longoria. Loney over at first base. Tampa just 3 for 18 with runners in scoring position against the Royals, Tabby. And Joe Madden said we left a lot of chicken on the bone, and you just can't do that stuff.
Yeah, they lost the game by 1 run on a 3-run home run. A lot of guys left on base.
This one driven deep to left field. It's gone. We got a tied ball game. And unfortunately for Mark Burley, after working 5 innings and getting some run support, he's going to get a no decision.
Yeah, he's going to come up with another no decision. Hanging slider. Rodriguez has been swinging a hot bat. That's why Joe Madden leaves him in there. 18 of his 33 hits this season have gone for extra base hits. Make it 19. 3-run home run, and we're back where we started. What do they say? Walks will kill you?
Yep. Madden hanging sliders. Two consecutive 2-out walks. Dustin McGowan comes in, and he just served up a 3-run home run to Sean Rodriguez, his 9th of the year. RBIs 30, 31, and 32. And tied here at 5. The 9th home run he's allowed this season.
Got to strap it back on right now.
Escobar off to the right side. Jays led 5-1. It's 5-5. Home half of the 7th inning. And John Gibbons looking for just 1 out, playing the percentages. Right-hander facing right-hander Longoria. He walks him. McGowan outside. He's been uncomfortable since he took over for Cecil.
So in 22 pitches now, has not been able to retire a batter.
The 3-2 in the dirt. His 3rd walk. And Jose Molina is the next batter, and John Gibbons has seen enough. 3 walks, a 3-run home run, and Dustin McGowan unable to do the job. A rough one for the right-hander. Tied at 5, bottom of the 7th. Sean Rodriguez tied here in the 5th inning. And McGowan did not retire a batter. And Aaron Loop is on. The left-hander making his 44th appearance of the season.
There are his numbers. 44 games now for Loop.
And the pitch misses. Burley, 93 pitches, 5 innings, 9 hits, 2 runs, both earned, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Jenkins came in to work 2/3, allowed a hit. Brett Cecil, that inning of work. And unfortunately for the Jays, McGowan couldn't hold that 5-2 lead.
And this has been a theme right here. Walks late in the ball game to hurt the Blue Jays. A couple of walks, 3-run home run, now another one.
And there's a strike.
I was talking to Dan Duquette when we were in Baltimore, and he said the toughest thing for a team to overcome is a home run late given up by the bullpen. Those are tough to come back on. Blue Jays are going to have to show some toughness tonight.
There's no question about that.
They gave up a home run on Wednesday late in that game to lose it to the Angels. And Albert Pujols 2-run home run that gave him the 8-7 win. That was off of Aaron Luke there. And now a 3-run home run late by Rodriguez to tie it up.
In the top of the 8th, it'll be Bautista, Navarro, and Mastriani for John Gibbons. Molina and Forsythe. And the pitch, strike 3. Out of the inning, but not before the damage was done by this pitch right here in that hit. John Rodriguez ties it up with a 3-run blast. Saturdays presented by Boston Pizza. Saturday, July 19th, Blue Jays against the Rangers, 1:07 p.m. First pitch. Special pitch price tickets in the 200, 500 level. Outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Call 416-341-1234 or check out BlueJays.com. New pitcher for Joe Madden.
Brad Boxberger into the ballgame now for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he has been on fire. You can see the great numbers that he has put up in 34 games. 252 earned run average. Lefties hitting .098 against Brad Boxberger. Joe Madden was saying the other day that this guy's been so good, he might be a closer someday. He has that kind of stuff and that kind of mentality.
Right-hander hunched over at the waist as he picks up the signs. Bautista back through the middle, and he's aboard with the leadoff base hit.
I tell you, he is going to cross up that shift until they start putting the guys where they're supposed to be. 3 guys on the middle of the infield, so all right, no problem. I'll hit one right back through the middle.
And the pitch is on the outer half as well.
Yeah, if you're going to play him the pole, you should pitch him inside, but that's dangerous.
Yeah. So over at first base, Bautista. Navarro is the batter, top of the 8th inning, tied at 5. Boxberger comes set, and the shift on for Navarro, hitting .259, 5 homers and 36 RBIs.
tell you, it'd be interesting if there's a ground ball to Forsythe, the second baseman. You can see Escobar to his right. How they're going to try and turn this. They might let Longoria, who's now inching over to the bag, take that double play ball.
One and one the count.
Longoria, of course, was a shortstop in college, so he can handle that turn.
And the pitch up in the zone. "26 years of age. Originally selected in the first round by the Cincinnati Reds back in 2009. And this pitch is foul back.
He was part of that big trade from Cincinnati going to San Diego. Brought Matt Latos to the Reds.
Made the bigs in 2012, 24 games for the Padres. Appeared in 18 last season for the Padres. And his first season this year in Tampa. Ground ball. Double play. There it is.
Hit right into the shift. Excuse me, Matt. 6-3 double play right into the shift. Not much the Blue Jays can do about that. Trying to beat the shift, he hits it right at him. It's an easy play. As soon as he fields it, it's an easy play.
Darren Mastriani is the batter, taking over for Nolan Reimold. Swings at the first pitch, fouls it back. Reimold left the game in the fourth with a left calf strain and is listed as day-to-day. Add him to the list. And there's a strike, unfortunately for Blue Jays. 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And he fouls this one back. Boxberger looks in. Ground ball, chop. Deloney back of the bag. And at first base, safe. Hustling down the first base line, Mastriani. And Joe Madden's going to come out.
He was safe. Mastriani not taking anything for granted. He hustled down that line and he was safe. Loney is an excellent fielding first baseman. Dives for the ball. And then tries to take it himself. He's not that far from the bag. Dives at the bag. Safe. Good hustle.
Yeah. Let's see where.
They're going to call for the review, so we'll see. Mastriani was hustling all the way. You cannot take anything for granted right here.
So close. Play is being challenged by Joe Madden and the Rays, and so it's under review.
He was hustling down that line. That's what you have to do. You can't take anything for granted. You got to bust it out of the box every single time. And he made that close. called safe by the umpire. Watch him coming out of that box. Just a little ground ball to first baseman. He makes it close and he's called safe. This is what they're looking at in New York.
Man, it is so close. I mean, that is a bang bang play. Well, I don't know if there's enough there that you overturn it.
Conclusive evidence. It's got to show that he beat him to the bag. James Loney thought he did. He called Joe Madden out right away and said, you got to challenge that one. Madden got the thumbs up from Dave Martinez. You can see him stretching. Is he on the bag there?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's on the bag there. Well, it looks like he might be.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom of his cleat is on the bag, but it also looks as though almost simultaneously the tip of the first baseman's mitt of Loney is touching the bag. Here in the 8th. The top of the 8th is either extended on that infield base hit, or the top of the 8th is over, depending upon this review and taking some time here. And of course, as you discussed earlier, Jose Bautista, I'm not a fan, met with Joe Torre when the team was in Anaheim.
The Blue Jays have had a couple of these go against them here on the road trip where they were overturned or they were upheld. Melky Cabrera had a play at the plate. Reyes had a play at the plate in Los Angeles. And it looked like he was safe, but he was called out. So they've had a couple of these go against them on this road trip already.
I think everybody agrees in baseball that it's a work in progress. That it's something that's going to be looked at, tweaked, and adjusted throughout. Is this exactly what they want with the replay system? And after the review, it's safe. So the inning for the Blue Jays lives on.
The ruling on the field now is that play stands. So Mastriani is going to have himself an infield hit. Second hit of the inning.
Infield base hit. Colby Rasmus here. Singleton scored in the 3rd inning. He is 1 for 3. Boxberger, after a pause in the action, back to work. Checks in over at first.
Colby should be waiting for a first pitch fastball right here. That took a long time, that review right there. Boxberger was throwing a little bit. Now that first heater, try to do some damage.
Once again, and Mastriani is back. Potential go-ahead run right there at first base, tied at 5. 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning on a 3-run home run off the bat of the designated hitter Shada Rodriguez. Washed away the lead of the Blue Jays, and the pitch. There it is. Fastball.
Right in his happy zone right there, and let it go. The 0-1. 0-2 now.
first. 2 outs, top of the 8th inning. Rasmus down to the count. Boxberger checks on the runner at first once again. Outfield straight away. Rasmus down in the count. And the fastball outside. He doesn't chase it.
Just a waste pitch right there, just in case Mastriani was thinking about maybe stealing. Give Molina a little bit better pitch to throw him out on.
Shift is on. And throw over to first base once again. Runner going. Strike 3 at the plate. Rasmus strikes out looking to end the top of the 8th inning. It's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Is brought to you by the 2014 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 16 years in a row, and the official vehicle of your Toronto Blue Jays.
The biggest hit of the night right now belongs to Sean Rodriguez. 3-2 slider right over the middle of the plate, and he ties it up with one swing. A couple of walks in our drive of the game. The 3-run home run by Sean Rodriguez, his 9th of the season. What a comeback.
Tied at 5. And Forsythe is the batter. Luke delivers foul back. Some news on Munenori Kawasaki.
Right hamstring strain. And he'll be day to day. We saw him in Anaheim hobble a little bit when he was there, so he must have re-aggravated that.
And that is why Tollison entered the action. They're going to use up their entire 40-man. It's one thing after another. And sometimes you hit those stretches, but can you find your way out of it? And now is that time.
Stayed relatively healthy at the beginning of the season and went on a nice run in May, but since then, in the battle, the injury bug.
Logan Forsythe, 2 for 3. Single and scored in the fourth with 2 outs. And grounded out in the 6th. Loop has the sign that he wants, and the 3-2 is on its way. In the air off the right side and giving it Jesus Mastriani out of play. Here in the home half of the 8th inning on this Friday night. 3 games to go until the All-Star break, and sometimes the break can come at just the right time. And is that the case for the Jays? Appears to be. High in the air to center field, and Colby has a beat on it. And there's one down here in the 8th inning. And Kiermaier is going to step to the plate. Kiermaier came in for Desmond Jennings. That was in the top of the 3rd inning when he was put into the game. Standing in with a lot of confidence, and the pitch is a strike.
He can bunt now. Kiermaier, who's tied for the lead on this team with bunt hits, 3 this season. Tough lefty. You never know. High ball game late. I want to drop one down.
He can run. You can talk to the Rays, and I mentioned this earlier about how they compared him to Grady Sizemore, just a gamer. Athletic. Late rounder.
First time facing air Loop here in the big leagues.
Round back in 2010, and he looks at a breaking ball, strike 3. So 2 outs here in the 8th, and Ben Zobrist, who is 2 for 4, will be the hitter.
Wondered when he was going to drop this one on him. He did the right thing. He waited till 2 strikes and then froze him. First time that he has faced him in the big leagues, so don't show him your strikeout pitch until you have to. That one splits the heart of the plate for the 2nd out.
And Kiermaier knew it. Tied at 5, home half of inning number 8. Game 1 of a 3-game set, and Loop, 5th pitcher used tonight. And this all started with Mark Burley, 5 innings, 9 hits, just 2 runs, and then Jenkins worked 2/3. Brett Cecil an inning, and Dustin McGowan could not record him down. 3 walks, 3-run home run. And tied at 5. Luke replaced him in the 7th, and he struck out Molina. He has retired all 3 hitters that he has faced. And a fastball poured in there at 91. And he counted 1-2 with 2 outs. Francisco guarding the line at 3rd. And the pitch, breaking ball. You see Juan Francisco, late innings, you're going to be hugging the line over there.
Yep. 7th, 8th, 9th inning. A go-ahead run at the plate. No doubles. Outfield is deep. They don't want anything over their head, where Zobrist could get into scoring position.
down and in. And the count now 3-2 with 2 outs. Zobrist back in the batter's box. Toward right field, and this one will curve foul and out of play, and the count remains full here.
Got to bring your glove. If you're going to sit there, you've got to bring your glove. Make a catch like that, you'd have a souvenir.
You'd be going home with a smile. Hope you're talking about that for a long time. Almost had it. Zobrist almost had that one, but he didn't. He strikes out. Third strikeout for Loop. A 1-2-3, bottom of the 8th inning. What will the Jays do in the top of the 9th?
Do it again.
Do it again. And Grant Balfour is on, making his 37th appearance.
Closer at the beginning of the season. He has dropped back now. 0-2, 489 earned run average. Problems have been the base on balls from Balfour. You can see he still throws hard, but he's walked almost as many as he has struck out this season. Fastball, curveball.
Dan Johnson. Contract purchase from AAA Buffalo today, with Adam Lynn gone for 2 weeks or so. A second opinion earlier today in Charlotte. 2-0 the count.
How about being the hero your first night here in a Blue Jays uniform?
Let's see if he can do it. The 2-0, and it's now 3-0.
Here's the problem that Balfour has had right here.
Yeah.
Falling behind. Excuse me.
There's that seat, the white seat. He's been a hero in this stadium before.
Did you give him the green light here?
What do you think?
I'll let you know after this pitch.
No. He's been up 4 times. He's walked 4 times.
Wow.
And the pitch is out of the zone, and the boos ring out here.
Yeah, the fans know the problems that Balfour has had this year in walking in. Those were 4 pitches that weren't even close. He's got 8-9-1 right now, and he walks the leadoff batter. This is going to be interesting with Francisco. Let him swing away.
If there's a fastball right there,
let him swing away. He threw 4 of them out of the strike zone.
And it's a breaking ball.
Of course.
Dan Johnson over at first base. And strike 2.
He should cut his swing down now and just try and serve something to left field. They've got everybody on the right side right now. Just take a shot at hitting a ground ball where the third baseman will be right here.
We'll see if Francisco can do it. Can't. Strikes out. And he can't help out the Jays' cause here in the top of the 9th inning. And that is tough out of your number 9 hitter. You want him to just do something here with the leadoff runner aboard, and a big hack there did not cut down on the swing at all. And he was really behind that fastball.
With the defense shifted like that, how about one bunt the first time, first pitch?
Well, Reyes did it back in the 4th inning with a base hit into right field, picked up a pair of RBIs. He is 2 for 4 with a run scored. That was in the 3rd. And the breaking ball is low. And 1-0. And Johnson at first base, 1 away, top of the 9th inning. Balfour on in this 5-5 game.
Tough to do anything offensively, push the envelope, whatever you want to call it, when the pitcher doesn't throw a lot of strikes.
Fastball's low, and the count now is 2-0. Heart of the order for Joe Madden in the bottom of the 9th inning. Geyer, Longoria, and Loney. Reyes awaits the 2-0, and here it is. And a breaking ball strike. Johnson with the lead at first. And the pitch swung on, driven in to right field. Could it be extra bases? Reyes on to second. And Johnson turns the corner at third. And runners at second and third. And Jose Reyes comes up big with a double here in the top of the 9th inning. His 3rd hit of the night.
2 hits in Wednesday's game, 4 hits in Tuesday's game. He keeps swinging it. Slider down and in. What a play by Zobrist in right field. He cuts that ball off, and that keeps Johnson from scoring. Got over, cut that ball off, got it back in quickly. Now the infield's going to come in. 2nd and 3rd, and just 1 out.
The hitter is Steve Tollison, who came in for Kawasaki, who left with a right hamstring strain. Here it is for the Jays in the top of the 9th inning with a 1 away. Infield is in, runners at 2nd and 3rd. Dan Johnson at 3rd. Reyes just doubled at 2nd. And a first pitch breaking ball strike. Tollison thought it was a little bit up in the zone.
Now anything could happen here. I think if you're the Blue Jays, you could put on the squeeze, you can put on the suicide squeeze, the safety squeeze. You need something to happen here. You see Tollison step out. Maybe gives the sign that he got the sign from the third base coach, Louis Rivera.
Infield loaded up on the left side.
The Rays are so famous at pulling off the safety squeeze. All you have to do is just bunt the ball to the first baseman. Runner at third base, once he sees it down, he can come on home.
Tollison awaits, and the pitch down and away. Rivera in the ear of Dan Johnson.
New player.
Yep.
Gotta tell him the signs.
Gave him the signs, then went over, made sure of it. Walked with him a little bit down that third base line as Johnson took the lead, and Johnson close to the bag at third. And the pitch down low and away, and Molina backhands it. Outfield is shallow. 2 balls and 1 strike. All 3 pitches breaking balls to Tollison. Tollison slightly choked up on the bat. Johnson's down there, the former Ray, at third base. Balfour still searching for one that he wants, and he steps away, and Molina's gonna race out now. I shouldn't say race. He jogs slowly out there now.
Heads out there. Let's talk about this here and make sure we know what we want to do right here. I got to figure that they're going to challenge Steve Tollison. They're not going to pitch around him with first base open and then pitch to Melky Cabrera. So I got to figure he's going to go after him.
Cabrera due up next. Tollison last 3 games with 4 hits,
including a home run.
Runners at second and third in this tie game, top of the 9th inning. Balfour on for Boxberger. He's all set. Deals, breaking ball low, and the count now 3-1. And he has thrown 4 breaking balls in a row, and so now,
surprising,
you're sitting dead red.
I am. Fastball. And look down, look low. You don't want to pop a ball up right here, so make him get that ball down.
Go ahead run 90 feet away, and he went back to it. It's all right if you're Tollison, you're saying, all right, that wasn't the one.
I was looking for the fastball. But now you're thinking, he's throwing me all breaking balls.
The 3-2. 92-mile-per-hour fastball, and he fouls it back. One away here in the 9th. Infield in. Johnson at third, Reyes at second. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Tollison. Balfour to the plate. In the air to right field. It is down for a base hit. Johnson scores and Reyes scores. Tollison works the count, loops it into right field. And the Toronto Blue Jays regain the lead, up 7-5 here in the top of the 9th.
How about that piece of hit right there from Steve Tollison? Waited for something, and then with 2 strikes says, I'm going to have plate coverage. That's what you have to have, plate coverage. Balfour was throwing in breaking ball after breaking ball, and he dumps one in the right field. Nice piece of hitting.
Cabrera now the batter. He is 2 for 4. And the Blue Jays with a 2-run lead. What a at-bat for Tollison, because that was a fastball off the plate a little bit.
And too close for him to take. So he was in swing mode, and he's able to keep it fair. Gotta love that. 2-run single. Blue Jays cash in another leadoff walk. Well, he's having a lot of problems getting that ball in the zone.
Of the 5 walks tonight by the Rays, 4 have scored. And it's that time.
Casey time.
Molina coming out behind home plate saying it's all right. Settle in. And this is a little bit like what Jays fans were going through when McGowan was out there. Seven to 5. Jays back on top. And there's a strike. Cabrera's just like, all right, let me see one. Cabrera 116 hits, second in the majors. Jose Altuve, Houston, has 127.
That's another multi-hit game for Melky.
He's been so good at that, and the pitch up in the zone. Runners it first and second, and can Bautista provide a little bit more insurance here?
Kirby Yates back up, getting loose very quickly. They can't afford to go much longer with Grant Balfour.
Top of the 9th inning. It started with a Dan Johnson a walk. 4-walk night for Dan Johnson. Ties his career high. He set that as a Tampa Bay Ray. He had 4 walks in a game. He has scored 3 of the Blue Jays' 7 runs, and some fans now headed toward the exits here at the top of the 9th inning. Trust me, they're not Blue Jay fans. They're going to sit here and savor this one.
Jake McGee is not here with the Tampa Bay Rays. He's on paternity leave. This would have been the perfect situation for him here in the 9th inning. A couple of left-handers at the bottom of the lineup in Johnson and Francisco, but he's unavailable. They go to Balfour, and the Blue Jays cash in a couple of runs.
You certainly miss him. 1 for 3 tonight. Sac fly RBI back in the 3rd inning for Bautista. Runners at first and second, and swing and a miss. 0-2 the count. Blue Jays with runners at second and third, got a big base hit off of the bat of Tollison as it was dumped into right field. Balfour now steps away. Tollison now at second after the walk to Cabrera. Tollison entered the game because of the right hamstring strain to Kawasaki, and breaking ball gets away, and the runners are going to move up on the wild pitch. So runners at second and third. Bautista 1 for 7 against Balfour all time.
Infield has to come back in now. It takes a double play out of the playbooks.
But Bautista, 7th inning on or later, hitting .367. Infield in. Runners at second and third, and the pitch. Breaking ball down low, doesn't chase it. 2-2.
27 pitches now for Grant Balfour. He's got 1 out. That was a strikeout to Francisco. Juan Francisco needs another one right here.
Kiermaier shades him toward the gap in left center field. Couple of steps. Bautista dialed in here. Here's a 2-2. Swung on, hit in the air to shallow right field. Coming on is Zobrist. He can't make the play. 1 run is in. That's Tollison. And 2 soft looping liners have done the trick for the Jays here in the 9th inning. You'll take them. And another RBI tonight for Bautista.
That happened to the Blue Jays a lot in Oakland. A lot of balls that found holes into the outfield. Blue Jays get to the breaks now.
8-5. Joe Madden out to the mound here in the top of the 9th inning. And good to see the Jays back up by 3. It's 8-5. Tollison comes through big here in the top of the 9th.
Breaking ball down and away, and he gets the ball to right field. Zobrist made a good attempt his last time up. Can't come up with this one. Knocks it down after it bounces off the carpet. 1-run scores. Bautista's got another RBI.
Runners at the corners now, and Kirby Yates will come on. Fifth pitcher used by the Rays.
11 games. He's just made his major league debut on June the 7th versus Seattle. Yates was a closer in the minor leagues. Throws a lot of strikes. He's a strikeout pitcher. He was the one who gave up the 3-run home run in their last game on Wednesday afternoon. That took a victory away from a 3-run home run to Salvador Perez. Is now in to try and shut down the Blue Jays. Finish off the 9th inning.
Jays with 15 runs the last 2 games. That obviously includes tonight. 10 runs the previous 6 games of the road trip. And with runners in scoring position tonight, 6 for 9.
One more hit. Give them back-to-back-to-back games with at least 12 hits. Something that we didn't see in Oakland.
Navarro looks at a pitch low. Over at third base, Melky Cabrera. He walked here in the top of the 9th inning, and Bautista with a big RBI. A little bit of insurance. It's a 3-run lead. He's over at first. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. The All-Star. And the pitch is a strike. Navarro is hitless here on this Friday. Flew out to left field in the 2nd, grounded out to the shortstop in the 3rd. Fly out to right in the 5th, and then a double play ball. 6 unassisted, 3 in the 8th. Yates. Strike. 1-2 the count. Rays, they lead the major leagues in strikeouts. They have 11 tonight as a group. And 5 of the first 6 set down by Archer, and that seems like, I don't know, about 3 hours ago.
Keep going. Yeah, he came out blazing, didn't he? And then lost it. He had great stuff the first couple of innings.
Fouled off. to the left side. Runners at first and third. Toronto 37 hits the last 3 games, including tonight. It averaged at 12.3. Yates looks around and deals down and in. Three runs in the top of the 9th. Two balls and 2 strikes. Yates trying to get the Rays out of this inning. Some fans in the upper deck calling for you, Tabby.
I think they've been here for 4 hours.
Pitch outside. There they are.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Enjoy the game. All right. Yeah.
They are.
Okay. This is the only stadium in baseball where you could do that.
Yeah. There they are, right there.
Where you could yell at the announcers during the game and they can hear you. That's where they are.
And there they are.
And he wouldn't be quiet. All right.
After a while, you just turn and look, and you go, okay, there they are, right there.
47th time, after the 47th time, right? Saying something to us. You and I yelling at us. And I'm like, okay, we hear you. Gotcha. Okay, enjoy the game.
Hey, having fun. Why not? If you made the trip down here, you see the Blue Jays up now 8-5 and fouled off once again.
And they sent Jose Bautista on both of those pitches to stay out of the double play.
Runners at the corners, and Yates trying to get the job done. Navarro thinking about an RBI here, keeping the inning alive. And this one hit high in the air, shallow right field. Zobrist is right there, and that's going to be the second out of the inning. Now that high pop fly into shallow right field. Mastriani is going to make his way toward the plate. The runners at first and third, the responsibility of Balfour. And you know, if you're McGowan right now, you're kind of going, oh man, you know, so frustrated. You could tell when we saw him in the dugout with his performance. A little bit of a lift here. And the top of the 9th from the offense, and a fastball is right there for a strike. Yates. And Mastriani in the air to right field. Moving over to his right is Zobrist, and that's going to do it. But not before the Toronto Blue Jays come through in the top of the 9th inning. It started with a walk by Dan Johnson, and then Tollison battling. Pokes it the other way for a base hit. Johnson scores. Jose Reyes scores. And the Toronto Blue Jays lead 8-5. And the closer is in. West connected out in Pacific. It's the A's and the Mariners. MLB on Sportsnet. Tollison delivered a 2 RBI hit in the top of the 9th inning, and the closer Jansen is on here for the Blue Jays. Casey Jansen, his 22nd appearance.
Outstanding numbers for Jansen. He just hasn't had the chances to save ball games. Last time he saved his 13th, that was July the 1st, Canada Day, when he saved it for Drew Hutchison. Beat the Brewers. This is his first save opportunity since then.
Middle of the order, Geyer, Longoria, and Loney. Geyer, this is the first time that he has faced the right-hander, Jansen. 6th pitcher used by John Gibbons, and this one is on the ground. Reyes with a big hop, flips it over to first base. And there's one away. For a preview of what's coming up on Connected, here's Jamie Thomas and Hugh Burrow. All right, back here in the bottom of the 9th inning. 8-5, Toronto with a lead. And the pitch is outside to Longoria. Longoria sac fly RBI in the first, struck out swinging in the 3rd. Flied out to right field in the 5th. Walked and scored in the 7th inning when he was facing Dustin and McGowan. McGowan came in to face Longoria, ran into trouble there, as well as Loney, and then hung that breaking ball to Rodriguez in a 3-run home run. But the Jays with 3 in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, we talked about the disappointment giving up the lead for Mark Burley in his last start before the All-Star game, and then gutting it out and coming back against a Rays team that has really handed it to him here. It's a good sign.
Mastriani right there, 2 away now for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays need 2 more wins to reach 50 wins prior to the All-Star break for the first time since 1992, when they went 53-34. If they record this one, it's just 1 away with 2 to go.
You get David Price tomorrow, and you have R.A. Dickey pitching on Sunday.
2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning, and Loney fouls the first pitch back. 0 for 3, walked and scored in the 7th. And Jansen. This one fouled off the right side on the ground past George Hendrick. Jose Reyes with a big night tonight, and you think about Dan Johnson, and with the 4 walks, scoring 3 times.
Scored 3 times.
Yeah.
He just wants to swing the bat, but they're not giving him anything to swing at.
But too much respect after what he did for this organization.
First game back here.
Yeah. Jansen on the ground, off of his glove, scooped up by Reyes over to first, and that'll do it. A 1-2-3 bottom of the 9th inning, and the Toronto Blue Jays take the first game of this 3-game set against the Tampa Bay Rays. And Steve Tollison comes through.
Yeah, showing what they're made of. They had the lead, they gave it up on a big, it could have been a crushing 3